First, let's start with this case. 38F, am a dressmaker and own my own shop. Within my friend group, it's become a tradition for my wedding gift to friends who get married to be an original wedding dress designed and made specifically for them. I've done this for 2 friends already and love both my work and my friends, so it's always been a joy to do. However, I'm currently 26 weeks pregnant with my first child and am actively working to reduce my workload in preparation for maternity leave. I've been passing larger projects to my employees, but wedding dresses are something I personally handle due to their complexity. Last night, a close friend announced her engagement. I was thrilled for her and congratulated her warmly. She asked if I'd make her wedding dress, and I immediately said yes. I asked her to let me know when the wedding date was so we could start planning. She told me the date was January 19th. At first, I assumed she meant January 19th, 2026, which would give us plenty of time to design and create the dress. But she quickly corrected me, saying it was January 19th, 2025, just 5 months away. I was surprised and told her I couldn't take on the project in that time frame. I explained that I'll have just given birth and won't be able to dedicate the time or energy required for such a big project. I gently asked her to reconsider the date if having me make her dress was important to her. I also pointed out how 5 months isn't a lot of time to plan a wedding anyway. However, she stood firm on the date. While I respected her decision, I made it clear that I couldn't commit to making her dress under these circumstances. She didn't take it well. She argued that since I'll soon be on maternity leave, I could use that time to work on her dress. At that point, I admit I got a bit snappy. I asked her why she thought it was okay to expect me to put unnecessary stress on myself and my pregnancy just for her wedding. Since then, she's been messaging our group chat, calling me out for refusing to make her dress and claiming it's obvious I favor other friends over her. Her feelings are clearly hurt, and while I'm frustrated by the situation, I'm starting to feel regretful about how I handled things. I'm considering offering to make her a rehearsal dinner or reception dress instead, to make up for the custom wedding dress I can't provide. Still, I'm unsure if that would be enough to mend things, or if I'm in the wrong here for turning her down. What do you think? Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. So, you in fact offered her an incredibly generous gift that will take you a great deal of work. And you advised her that this amount of work needs a certain time frame. And the ungrateful idiot has the nerve to demand that you do it in a time frame you can't accommodate, while on maternity leave and recovering from the birth of your baby. You are in no way an idiot here. She is, though, and I'd suggest that given her attitude, she does not deserve a dress from you. You're not in the wrong. Wow, that's some hella audacity of your friend to suggest you risk your health and sanity in order to make her a wedding gown in 5 months. You're growing a human, and then you will be birthing a tiny human, and then recovering from giving birth while taking care of a newborn. Where does she think wedding gown making is going to go amid all of that? My gosh, absolutely. You're not in the wrong here. Your friend is not only idiot, but she is entitled and selfish. You explained the totally valid reason this would be difficult, and she dismissed that and now has the gall to badmouth you about it in the group chat. You'll be taking time off your paid employment soon, but you'll be increasing your workload hugely by having a tiny human to care for. I'm sorry that you feel a dress you will wear for one day is more important than my child. I do not share this sentiment. You're right, I do have a favorite. It's the child growing inside me who I am already nurturing and caring for, and will forevermore. This life is far more important to me than a dress, and if you think that this is an unfair and selfish attitude, and your dress is the priority, then you're not the type of person I would ever want to wear one of my creations anyway. Don't make anything, OP. Not a single thing. Take care of you and your child. Best of luck with the rest of your pregnancy. You're going to be a great mom. Baby isn't even here yet, and you're already putting their well-being first. Next up, I, 26F, have been living with my friend A, 27Fs, for a few years now. We've always had a great time together and generally get along well. However, A has a tendency to adapt her personality and lifestyle to whoever she's dating. I call it being a relationship chameleon. For example, she went vegan for one boyfriend but went back to eating meat after they broke up. Another time, she considered converting to Judaism because her then boyfriend wanted a Jewish family. While her tendencies can be frustrating, they've never directly impacted my life. Until now. A has been dating her current boyfriend for about 2 months. He's been in recovery for alcoholism for several years, which I respect. Getting sober takes a lot of strength and dedication. A couple of weeks ago, she announced that she's giving up alcohol in solidarity with him. I didn't think much of it since she's never been a big drinker. However, shortly after this announcement, her behavior became judgmental and pushy. We have a well-stocked, somewhat expensive bar cart in our shared living space. She told me we needed to get rid of it, and I refused. Then she suggested I move it into my bedroom, but that wasn't feasible either due to the limited space in our city apartment. Her attitude escalated further. During a recent group dinner, she complained that we were making her uncomfortable by having drinks and said we should respect her choice to be sober. The breaking point came last night. My boyfriend came over while A was out with her boyfriend. I made a nice dinner, and my boyfriend brought a bottle of wine to pair with it. A and her boyfriend returned home earlier than expected. He went straight to her room, but A confronted me, yelling that she had banned alcohol from our apartment. At that moment, I snapped. I told her she was being unreasonable, reminded her that the apartment is in my name, and made it clear that her new lifestyle choices didn't dictate my life. I also pointed out that when this relationship inevitably ended, she'd likely go back to drinking, just like she had reverted after her past relationships. I told her I couldn't live like this anymore, and that she needed to move out. She stormed out with her boyfriend. Since then, she started a group text with our mutual friends, spreading a distorted version of the story and claiming I went crazy and kicked her out without cause. My phone has been blowing up with messages from people angry at me, so I had to explain the truth to clear things up. Update: I've tried reaching out to A to discuss things calmly, but I think she's blocked me. My texts aren't showing as read, and I discovered she unfriended and blocked me on Facebook. I was hoping to sit down and have a conversation, but it seems like she's avoiding me entirely. At this point, I'm frustrated and confused by her immaturity. She'll have to come back at some point to deal with her things, but I feel drained by the whole situation. I'm questioning if I was wrong for snapping at her and asking her to move out. Was I out of line here? Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. Like you said, this is your apartment also. Any decisions like that need to be made between the two of you, not just made by decree from one. It's fine for her to stop drinking in solidarity with her boyfriend. What isn't fine is when she tries to force it on everyone around her. Or, it's fine to have a penis. It's also fine to be proud of your penis. However, the moment you stick your penis in my face, we are going to have problems. You're not in the wrong. She can't just expect you to change your whole way of living because she has decided to mirror this new boyfriend like she has others before him. Sounds like she is quite the follower. What if her next boyfriend is some type of neo-Nazi? Enough is enough. You don't need this type of immaturity. Clearly, she has very low self-esteem and puts whomever she is sleeping with or dating before you, showing you no respect. You're not in the wrong. If he can't handle seeing a bottle of wine nearby, his recovery is not very strong. Alcohol is everywhere. Recovery is an internal commitment, not changing your environment to never see a triggering thing again. I gave up drinking and my spouse has bottles of wine and sometimes drinks at home. It's fine. My recovery is about me and my own commitment to myself, not about never seeing a cocktail again. Next up, I live in an apartment complex, and my neighbors are a young couple in their 20s who have been living next door for 2 years. They have a small dog, and I've always noticed them taking it out for walks regularly. However, for the past 2 months, I've only seen them putting pads on their patio and letting the dog relieve itself there. This change bothered me. I felt like they weren't properly caring for their dog anymore. I approached them multiple times, called them lazy, and even suggested they give up the dog if they couldn't properly care for it. I accused them of taking the easy way out by avoiding regular walks and letting the dog do its business on the patio instead. They responded by explaining that they clean the patio at least twice a day and that the dog still goes for a walk every night. The woman also said that their reasons for the change weren't my business and that they didn't owe me an explanation. I wasn't satisfied with their response, so the next morning I called the authorities, police and public health services, on them. When they inspected the situation, they found no laws were being broken. The officers explained that as long as the couple cleaned the patio daily, there wasn't an issue. They also told me that I didn't have the right to demand reasons for why the couple wasn't taking the dog out during the day. After this incident, word got out in the apartment building, and now many of my neighbors view me negatively, labeling me as the one who unnecessarily called the police. I later learned from another neighbor that the woman next door is pregnant and on bed rest, which is why she can't take the dog out during the day. Her boyfriend works long hours and only manages to take the dog out at night. Despite her bed rest, the woman still tries to do her best for the dog, and they've been making it work within their limitations. Now I'm wondering if I overstepped and whether I was wrong for involving the authorities without understanding their situation. Was I in the wrong here? Let's start judging. You're in the wrong. Mind your own business, geez. You give off major stand in front of the window to see what infractions the neighbors commit vibes. A whopping nuntright. You're in the wrong. There are many reasons why people can't walk their dog. The dog may have an injury that's healing, it may have developed arthritis and can't walk as much or as long without pain, or a slew of other reasons that are none of your business. It sounds like you're in desperate need of a hobby if you have this much time to monitor your neighbors. You're in the wrong. Sounds like you jumped straight to the worst conclusions about your neighbors, would only accept the police's word over theirs, and never once did you seem to show any concern for your neighbors after the sudden change. Calling the cops was going nuclear for nothing. It was embarrassing, and you owe them an apology. Next up, I, 17F, have had a complicated relationship with my dad for as long as I can remember. My parents got married after I was born, hoping to create a stable family for me, but they divorced when I was 11 after my dad went to rehab. Things only got worse after the divorce. While in rehab, he met his current fiancée, and they eventually had a daughter, 6F. Since then, my dad has been largely absent from my life. Whenever I've had important events, he either has an excuse or doesn't show up at all. I'd estimate he's been present for less than half of my milestones since their divorce. A few years ago, I was diagnosed with scoliosis. At first, surgery wasn't necessary, but over time, my condition worsened, and I was finally scheduled for surgery on November 20th of this year. I told my dad about it months in advance, explaining how much his support would mean to me this time. He promised he would be there. Later, though, he texted me to say he had already planned a vacation that would keep him away until mid-December, right around the time my recovery would be ending. I was heartbroken, but I tried to accept it. Then, 2 hurricanes hit his vacation spot, and he told me he'd be able to make my surgery after all. For the first time in a while, I felt a glimmer of hope. But just a week before my surgery, he texted again to say his fiancé's lung cancer surgery had been scheduled for the same day, just a few hours before mine, at a hospital 30 minutes away. He said he might not make it to my surgery. But with him, might not usually means won't. He added that this wasn't about who he loved more. That message crushed me. I realized that no matter how much I wanted his support, I might never get the attention or care I needed from him. I broke down on my kitchen floor that day, overwhelmed by disappointment. After processing my feelings, I decided to tell him how hurt I was. I texted him, explaining that this wasn't just about love, but about showing care and support. I told him he had given me hope only to let me down again, and questioned whether his fiancé's surgery had truly been scheduled last minute. Given his history of lying to save face, I also reached out to someone who might know the truth. In a follow-up message, I clarified that my frustration wasn't with his fiancée. I understand her situation, but with his ongoing pattern of absence and lack of empathy. I expressed my hope that he would be a better father to my half-sister than he has been for me. Finally, I told him I was done putting all the effort into maintaining our relationship. I made it clear that if he wanted to be my dad, I would gladly be his daughter. But if he chose not to, I would be okay with that too. He hasn't responded, and honestly, I'm fine with that. For once, I hope he reflects on his actions and how they've impacted me. So, am I wrong for expressing my feelings and stepping back from the relationship? Let's start judging. Lung cancer surgery for fiancé trumps daughter who still has mom's scoliosis surgery. But otherwise, from what you've said about his reliability, you're not in the wrong. Maybe send fiancé a note wishing her luck, and if it was a lie, shirt will hit the fan. And best wishes to you for a speedy recovery. Girl, you father hasn't shown up for you your entire life. What makes you think he is going to do it now? And furthermore, why do you allow him to have that power over you? He is not your father. He is the male who impregnated your mother. Stop elevating him to father status. This man is going to support the person who he is making his life with, not the child he walked away from years ago. He doesn't prioritize you, and he never will, no matter what words he uses or promises he makes. Good luck with your surgery, and focus on your recovery. I'm so sorry your dad is not there for you. There is nothing that would take precedent over my child having surgery. I love my husband, but if they were both having surgery at the same time, there is no question that I would be with my son. No question.